came back, he besieged it and then squashed it, crushed it, burned it, and took that temple apart stone by stone so there wasn't.
Going to school, I did. But I didn't feel like going to school, I didn't. When the letters started to come telling my mother I was truant, at first I explained to her that there were letters of commendation about how well I was learning English. Well, I got away with that until she started to learn English. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother was a tiny lady, but she had a left hook that would knock out a mule.
Wow.
So most of the time, I stayed out of her way. I also learned what social promotions were. You see, I was a very good athlete in school. I played 5 sports. I played basketball, baseball, soccer, track, and something that they would not even dare to have today. I was on a rifle team. They gave us 22 caliber rifles and we went out and target shot. So I was passed along. If a teacher didn't give me a passing grade, there were 5 coaches in there screaming at them. About 2 weeks before I was ready to graduate high school, I got into some serious trouble. I was taken in front of a judge and I was given 2 choices. Either enlist in the military or go to jail. Well, I didn't know what the military was all about, but I had a pretty good idea what jail was all about. So I was escorted from the judge's chambers to the Navy recruiting station in the same building. It could have been any branch of the service, but the judge happened to be in the Navy during the Second World War. So that very afternoon, I was on my way to Great Lakes, Illinois for basic training. I eventually became a Navy hospital corpsman. I was a medic, and I even got to spend time with the Marine Corps because the Marines don't have their own medical personnel. And lucky me, I wound up with a branch of Marines that required you to jump out of airplanes. Well, I want you to know it's not a natural act to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. That's what I wound up doing. When my time in the Navy was up, I was given an athletic scholarship to New York University. I played basketball for NYU. And you know, it's amazing, several years ago, the University of Georgia and several other colleges across the country decided that their athletes should actually attend classes. What a novel idea that was. Well, my coach, Lou Rossini, insisted that we go to classes, and it wasn't basket weaving 1 and knitting 2. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from New York University. When I graduated in 1963, I was drafted by the Philadelphia Warriors of the National Basketball Association, and I played 2 years of professional basketball. Now, I know you never heard of me, but how many of you know who Wilt Chamberlain was? He was my roommate.
Wow.
The traveling secretary thought he was very clever to put the Jewish kid and the black kid together, thinking that it was an insult to both of us. Well, the big guy and I became very close friends. The NBA that I played in was not the NBA of today. It was only 10 teams in the league. It was still predominantly a white league. And some of the cities we went to followed the Jim Crow laws. Cincinnati and St. Louis especially. The black players on our team were not allowed to stay in the same hotels that we stayed in or eat in the same restaurants. To show them what we thought of that, some of us stayed in the same hotels they did and ate in the same restaurants that they did. We were activists even then. Well, Coach Rossini must have been prophetic. My knees gave out. I retired. I came down to Atlanta in 1965. I'm married to a lady from Savannah, Georgia. We have 2 children. Our daughter is 34. She's a graduate of Georgia Southern University and works for the Kroger Corporation in management. She got married 20-some-odd months ago, and I have a brand new son-in-law by the name of Rusty, and Rusty also by coincidence happens to be a former Navy corpsman. I always tease her that she married her father, and she doesn't think that's too funny. Our son is 31. He does undergraduate work at the University of Georgia and has a master's in public health and risk management from Emory University. He got married 4 years ago. Our daughter-in-law, Lindsay, is also an Emory grad. And 23 months ago, I became a grandfather. Samuel George and my daughter-in-law, Lindsay, are on a plane right now heading out for California, where she's from, so I'm going to miss the little booger. But, you know, you may say to yourself, why is he telling me all this? Well, 2 years ago at our synagogue, we had a scholar in residence. And I was there, my son was there, and my grandson was there. And Rabbi Heller walked up behind me and said, "Andre, what do you think the odds were in 1943 and 1944 that there would be 3 generations of Kessler men sitting here tonight?" And I said, "Rabbi, the odds were slim and none." Okay. I think that most of you have an advantage over me. That most of you are computer literate. You can get into your computers easily, right? Okay. I can't. I still threaten to throw mine out the window every other day. I get frustrated. But if you get into your computers, you'll find over 60 sites that deny that the Holocaust ever happened. And then we have this wonderful man over there in Iran, and bear with me because I love to say his name. Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The only way I remember his name is that I'm a jackass. He is a Holocaust denier. He says there was no such thing as the Holocaust, and Israel is an illegitimate state. Well, when he spoke at Columbia University 3 years ago, the president of Columbia informed him that the Holocaust is one of the most documented events in human history. Last year, in June of 2009, President Barack Obama spoke at the Buchenwald concentration camp, and he was accompanied by Nobel poet laureate Elie Wiesel. Mr. Wiesel was liberated from the Buchenwald concentration camp. And President Obama said the following: "To this day, there are those who insist the Holocaust never happened. This place is the ultimate rebuke," and he was talking about Buchenwald, "to such thoughts, a reminder of our duty to confront those who tell lies about our history." Stick that in your water pipe, Mr. Ahmadinejad, and smoke it. Well, if you can't deny the Holocaust, you might as well start spreading lies about it, just like the Germans did during the Second World War. I think you all know that we're involved in a war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And at a peace rally 2 years ago, the Representative James P. Moran of Virginia made the following statement, and I quote, "If it were not for the strong support of the Jewish community for this war with Iraq, we would not be doing this." And he continued, "The leaders of the Jewish community are influential enough that they could change the direction of where this is going, and I think they should." Well, I got news for the Representative Moran. The Jewish population of the United States is approximately 2%. So we don't have all the influence that he gives us credit for. There's a wonderful organization out there. And before I tell you their name, let me just tell you that my wife and I have had dogs most of our married life. 6 years ago, we rescued another one from the Golden Retriever Society. My daughter and son-in-law have 3 dogs, and my son and daughter-in-law have 1. So we love animals. But this wonderful organization known as PETA, the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, have a campaign going around the country comparing the suffering of livestock to that of the victims of the Holocaust. Unbelievable. Okay. What happened here? There we go. As